Good morning, friends. Beautiful morning. Actually, it's getting into the winters here in India, and you are most welcome to join this live IQ test. And the rule of the game is we will be basically sending some questions to you. The questions will get displayed in front of the screen, and you will get 60 seconds to give the right answer before we move on to the next question, because speed is everything. If you are able to give the right answer quickly, then your IQ and the critical thinking abilities are pristine. So let's proceed to our quiz straight away. The first question is: in the year 1429, Joan of Arc and the Charles de Albert liberate which heavily fortified town in France? And the time starts now. Well, friends, if you know the world history, especially the history of France, the Joan of Arc has been given the title of saint also, and she was a young teenager girl who led the French troops to charge on the English fortification during 100-year war, basically English invasion on France. So let's find the answer. The town is Saint Pierre le Mortier, and this was actually this victory was achieved after a siege. So basically, what happened is that Joan of Arc, who had a different name, a French woman name, she actually walked from her village to all the way to the French garrison and told them, "Look, I got the God appeared in my dream, and the God has instructed me to lead French soldiers to victory." And therefore, for some reason, the French general and all the soldiers believed her, and actually, she led the charge into the English very heavily fortified city, with lot of English soldier guarding the whole city. And in the end, they were victorious, and this was the first French victory in 100-year war. So it's important, and that is why Joan of Arc has played such an important role in our history. Let's move to the next question. In the year 1819, Maori chief Hongi Hika and Rewa sell 13,000 acres, which is equal to about 4,260 hectares, at Kerikeri to the Church Missionary Society in exchange of what item? Of course, Maori, we are talking about New Zealand, and the time starts now. When the English settlers were trying to establish their colony in Australia and New Zealand, obviously they had to do a lot of battles and also sometimes negotiations to acquire land. And this is one incident where 13,000 acres of land was transferred to the European settlers. For what item? Let's find out. For 48 axes. Can you imagine, friends? 13,000 acres of land was transferred to the settlers in exchange of only 48 axe. The axe we use to cut the trees. So, for whatever reason, Maoris wanted axe, and at that point in time, they must have felt that axe are much more valuable than the land they have. How wrong they were. All right, let's move to the next question. In the year 1846, an artificial leg was invented. The prosthetic leg was invented. Who invented this artificial leg? And the time starts. The artificial or prosthetic limbs plays a major role in making improvement in lives of some of our people who are handicapped. So let's find the answer before I actually go to the folks who have tried and attempted to give the answer. It's an American inventor. His name is Benjamin Palmer, and he used to live in Meredith, and he actually invents the first artificial leg, which was given to the disabled people. And the answer was attempted by Flawless, and she gave the answer Vasco da Gama. So Vasco da Gama is not the right answer, but Flawless, good attempt. We are actually moving ahead in this quiz. Attempt the next question. We are moving to the next one now. In the year 1862, who invents the hand-cranked machine gun? The first machine gun invented by which innovator? And the time starts now. So friends, the year was 1862. The first machine gun was born. The inventor name is very, very popular. In fact, if you remember a little bit about these, armaments, then you would know the answer, because this is first time in the world. So first, let's get to the answer. Then I'll tell you about this. So it's the American inventor Richard Jordan Gatling, and therefore the invention which he actually came up with is also known as the Gatling gun, that is the name given to this gun. This was not an automatic weapon. This was a hand cranked weapon where there were multiple barrels, and then the soldiers in the war front had to crank the gun, and the barrels will get loaded and fired automatically. So up to that extent, this was automatic machine gun. Later on, after the improvement in the initial design, there were electric motors added so that the speed of firing can be improved, and therefore this Gatling gun is now called mini gun, which soldiers carry sometimes on a Humvee or on some mounted vehicle. And this gun is capable of firing 3 to 4,000 rounds per minute. Huge rate of fire. And by the way, Dr. Gatling was actually a doctor, and he invented this automatic machine gun so that he wanted to end the war quickly. So the whole idea is to kill quickly and end the war so that the rest of the people life can be saved. And this is during the Civil War of America. Okay, let's go to the next question. In the year 1879, who invents refrigerator? And the time starts now. So refrigerator is such an important device for our livelihood nowadays, and every household has a refrigerator. But who invented it? Let's find out. This is invented by Thomas Elkins. He was the African American inventor. So even in the US, all kinds of people were actually innovating, and they were actually trying to invent new things, including the African Americans. And this refrigerator patent was granted to this African American, who is considered as the inventor of the modern refrigerators. All right, let's move to the next question. In the year 1879, who invents the first cash register? Cash register, I hope you know what the cash register is, and the time starts. So friends, the cash register is a device which is normally you would see in a mall, where when you make the payment, there will be a ching ching sound and the tray comes out from a device. So that device is called cash register. It actually does automatic counting and management of currency at a small level, not at a bank level, but in a shop, etc. So these cash registers are very popular. They are, they have to calculate at the same time. So if you can tally your cash with your inventory, it's very easy if you have a cash register. So let's find out who invented this. This is James Ritty, and the idea was to combat stealing, at his bar by the bartenders in a salon in Ohio. So the idea is basically that the bartender will take out the money from the cash, and he didn't want that. He wanted to control that. So if you make a purchase, the cash register will actually register that purchase, and then at the end of the day, you can tally whatever cash you have with the actual sale made at the bar. So that was the idea that prompted him to create this cash register. Now let's find out who have been able to give the right answer. Vijay Lakshmi, your answer is absolutely right. All right, so good job, Vijay Lakshmi. Let's now go to the next question and let's see how many people can crack it. In the year 1921, the brown shirt, it was a street gang or a street activism, and it has a German name which I am unable to pronounce, or in short it is known as SA, also known as the brown shirts as an absolute translation into English, was established by who? So as a hint, I would like to give you that this is in Germany in the year 1921, and the time starts now. So year was 1921, and the First World War had ended, and the Germany had lost the battle, and because of that there were a lot of sanctions on Germany, and therefore 1921 there were a lot of joblessness, and a lot of bad things were going on in this civilian population in Germany. So there was a lot of gang wars, and people were creating different kinds of gang in order to control things on the street, and therefore this brown shirt was created as one of the organization, not the only organization, but it was one of the organization, sort of a gang. Let's find out who created this brown shirt activism. And that was the Adolf Hitler, because if you know, Adolf Hitler was a soldier, and he was sort of very disheartened when Germany lost the battle, and therefore he wanted to do something, and he was still very young, like 22-21 year old. So when he returned from the war, and I hope you know that he was actually injured in the war, so he was in the hospital for a good 3 to 4 months, and then he came out of the hospital. There was no job. A lot of people find it very difficult to even buy daily rations, and therefore the street war erupted, and he actually created a street gang, and most of these members who were part of this gang actually joined him in the Reich when he actually came to power, and they continued till the last point when Germany lost Second World War in 1945. So the beginning of Hitler's career started with this particular group which he created in 1921. Okay, so let's go to the next question. In the year 1922, who discovers the intact tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in Egypt? And the time starts now. So, the Egyptian treasure history has been always mesmerizing, and Tutankhamun was the boy king who died very early, and he was actually found in his body, or his mummy was actually found in a gold, box, and therefore his tomb was being looked at, and finally it was discovered. So, let's find out the answer. And the answer is the historian Howard Carter. He discovers the Tutankhamun tomb, and as I said, Tutankhamun, stories are very mesmerizing, especially all the Egypt. There is a lot of intrigue in these historic tales. Now let's find out who has been able to give the right answer. Okay, Vijay Lakshmi, your answer is absolutely right. You are cracking almost all questions. Good job. All right, let's move to the next one. In the year 1924, which state legalizes professional boxing? Before 1924, it was illegal. It was made illegal since 1914. So during the First World War, the boxing was made illegal. However, it was legalized after the war in 1924. Tell me which state, and the time starts now. So, for those who do not know about the game of boxing, the boxing requires the highest stamina in any sport. Whether you're running around in cricket or hockey or football, the boxing requires very, very high stamina and very good health to participate in the sport of boxing. However, this was not legal during the First World War, made legalized in 1924 again, after a gap of almost 10 years. Let's find the answer. It is California. So California actually still organizes the private bouts, and betting happens in California is very, very popular. All the Hollywood stars actually go and see these bouts, boxing bouts, and therefore California legalized the boxing again after a gap of 10 years. Now let's quickly move to the. All right, so Vijay Lakshmi has been able to give the answer. Great job. All right, Vijay Lakshmi, let's see if you can crack the next one. In the year 1939, which company produced the world's first air-conditioned automobile, air-conditioned car in the year 1939? The time starts now. So, we feel that the car must have air condition because we can actually drive to our destination without worrying about the elements. So, but then, cars were invented so long ago in the 1880s, but did not had air condition. So they used to be very noisy, very warm. However, in 1939, one innovator came up with this idea of putting an air conditioning unit into an automobile. Let's find the answer. It is the Packard. The company name is Packard. Very, very popular name, and they exhibited their AC car in Chicago in an exhibition. So Packard, back in the day before the Second World War, was a very popular car manufacturer. In fact, they used to manufacture very expensive cars. Back in the days in the United States, the Packard cars used to cost as much as 4 houses. So, if somebody is going in a Packard car, they were creme de la creme of the society. And now in 1939, they came up with an air conditioned car. All right. So, no right answers. I don't see any answer. So let's move to the next question. In 1980, who was elected the new president of United States, defeating the incumbent Democrat US President Jimmy Carter by a landslide? So, as you know, Jimmy Carter himself, was very, very popular president. Even today, he is very popular. But then he was defeated by a new candidate, and the defeat was a landslide victory for this new candidate. Who was this new person, new president of United States? Time starts now. So friends, if you know the history of Jimmy Carter, he was one of the youngest president America had, and he actually defeated Gerald Ford. So very popular president, removed by Jimmy Carter in an election. Again, Jimmy Carter came to the power after a landslide victory, but then he himself was defeated by a new candidate. Let's find the answer. And this is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan has been the most popular president of United States. He did so many things, and he was very, jovial, and he used to crack jokes. He was very popular, and he was also a movie star. He used to act in the Western classics. So he had a huge fan following, and he was able to defeat, a huge president like Jimmy Carter. But then Ronald Reagan became the most popular president in the history of United States. So he did a lot of good things, including, improving the internal security of United States. Also, there has been two assassination attempts on Ronald Reagan, and he survived both of them. All right, let's move to the next question. All right, so Bhagyalakshmi, you have been able to give the right answer. Good job. Okay, so let's move to the next question. In the year 1991, the Imelda Marcos returned from exile to Philippines and was arrested the next day for which crime? So, as a hint, Imelda Marcos was the wife of the ex-president or sort of dictator of Philippines. She was, exiled from the country by all the Democrats in the country, and then she returned in 1991. But next day she was arrested. Tell me for which crime, and the time starts now. So there is the answer from Vijay Lakshmi. So let's display her name. She says corruption. I think you are right partially. I would say 90% you are right. It was corruption, because if you know the Marcos family, they were actually having so much riches in their house. They were actually having ivory wash basins, gold taps, golden beds, and whatnot. They had huge money, and they were swindling money from the taxpayer money. Basically, the common people in Philippines were not doing any good, but the Marcos husband and wife, they were actually taking all the money from the general public, and they were behaving like a sort of a gangster lords. So finally, she was exiled from the country in a better way, because taking any other action against her would have been kind of a chaos at that point in time. So authorities thought that it is best to exile. But then when she returned, she was arrested in 1991. So Vijay Lakshmi, let's see if your answer is right. Although it is right, it's very close, but let's go to the answer. It is a tax fraud and corruption. So you're absolutely right. But then she was released on a bail of 6,400 bail bond. So she returned to Philippines. She was arrested, and then she got bail at a very hefty amount of $6,400 way back in 1991. So $6,400 would have looked like a lot of money, at least $100,000 to $200,000 of today's money. So you are absolutely right, Vijay Lakshmi. It was for corruption. Let's move to the next question. In the year 2008, Barack Obama became the first African American to be elected as a president of the United States, who did he defeat? And the time starts now. So Barack Obama created a history because he was the first African American to become the president of United States. It's a very prestigious title, and African American population came a long way because now from their community a person started ruling the entire United States of America. So it was a big event. Let's find out if there are any answers. So Vijay Lakshmi, you have given the answer, John McCain. Let's check if this is the right answer. Yes, absolutely right, Vijay Lakshmi. Republican candidate John McCain was defeated in an election, a general election by Barack Obama. Great job, Vijay Lakshmi. So let's see if we have more questions for today. All right, so we have finished our quiz today. But friends, these questions are designed to improve IQ. We give only 60 seconds for you to respond. So join me again tomorrow same time, and we will continue our journey in improving our IQ and also critical thinking. Have a great day. Bye.